Taking off on the Talkeetna jet boat. Going up the Talkeetna River, 130 miles. Devil's Canyon jet boat. Here we go. Got us a nice cozy seat in the back.
By the way, this river we are starting on is the Talkeetna River, and this bridge we're going to be going underneath is the Alaska Railroad. Alaska Railroad here was completed in 1923, spans 525 miles from Seward to Fairbanks. A little bit about the boat we're on, folks. Name of this vessel is the McKinley Queen. We are being powered by 3 separate engines. They are Cummins turbo diesels, and we are pushing about 1,000 total horsepower.
Wow.
Well, this is a jet boat. That means there's no rudder, no prop, literally nothing underneath this boat to catch. In fact, even if there was a log floating down the middle of the river, we literally skip right over that log and it would do nothing to the boat. With this design, it's a very shallow draft vessel. Pretty impressive. Even though this boat weighs 19 ton, we only need about 16 inches of water to run in. Pretty impressive considering the size of the boat. Got the much larger Susitna River coming in out in front of us. We're going to be spending most of our day on the Susitna River. About 55 miles up the top, we're going to be getting into Devil's Canyon and some class 4 and 5 white water.
This is a 5-hour tour. There we go.
Stop here, folks. We're going to kind of orientate you to the river system. Again, when we're stopped like this, you're more than welcome to take turns, come up front and get a picture, and you can also go out to the back deck and get a photo as well.
All right, so a few things about the rivers. We started out on the Talkeetna River where we made the nice sharp turn. We got onto the Susitna River, that is the river we will be traveling on today for about 120 miles round trip. And there's the third main river coming in on the left side of us here, the Talkeetna River. Now, the rivers here were named by the indigenous people of the interior of Alaska, the Athabascans.
Across it because then I jump it. By the way, if you guys look off the starboard side of the boat, you guys see the dock there. Remember, see the dock there? Also, when you look over there, kind of reminds me of my Val's just back up just a little bit. Kind of reminds me of our my Civil War class in our history class in high school. But if you look at the waterline edge here, to me this almost looks like an old Civil War submarine. Doesn't it a little? It's a little bit, it kind of does, doesn't it? I always thought those were kind of crazy looking. That's a boiler system from the Curry Hotel, folks. And this is the old town site. There was a town here, an entire town. All these trees you see here on the right, they didn't exist. We're looking at about 70 years of growth. The forest, as you can see, this is pretty lush here, isn't it? It's almost like a jungle with the ferns. I mean, it's very full of life, big time. And this was a town site, and the forest has totally taken it back. And anybody here ever heard of the old town site of Curry, Alaska? Nope. All right, so this is a very important place historically. It's going to learn some really cool stuff here to us Alaskans. All right, this right here is the halfway point on the Alaska Railroad between Seward and Fairbanks. And when they first completed the railroad tracks, they had steam-driven trains. These steam-driven trains had to stop at section houses along the lines to fill up with water and coal. So they were very, very slow, okay? So they could not make that whole journey in a day. So they would stop overnight here, refill up their tenders with coal, and then continue on to Fairbanks the next day. So they had a hotel here. This hotel actually was considered the nicest hotel in all of Alaska. It had a heated swimming pool, a 3-hole golf course, a tennis court. Back up on the hill there for the wintertime, they actually had a pole rope where people could be pulled up and downhill ski in the wintertime. Right about where we're at now, they had a walkway suspension bridge all the way across the river, over 500 feet long. And they had a 2.5-mile hiking trail all the way to the top of the ridge up there that we cannot see right now because of the clouds. And they had a gazebo out there that was like kind of a lookout, and they called it Mount Regal Vista, and it had some of the most spectacular views of the Alaska range in the state of Alaska. This was like a resort, like a really fancy one. And Leah, one of our captains and naturalists, by the way, that dock there is ours. We do a trip called the River Rail Trail, where you go on the old flag stop with one of our naturalists like Alice. You dropped off at Curry. We actually have some stacked out train cars there with some Curry artifacts, walk through them and kind of check out the old foundations and stuff. And then the boat comes up empty and picks you up and takes you down and do the adventure site and into town. So you actually do a loop. You can go up by train and back by boat. It's been a really popular trip. A lot of people come back and do that trip too. But anyways, on that River Rail Trail 2 days ago, they had a gentleman on board, and he's like, I used to live at Curry. Yeah, and so he lived at Curry, and he was 10 years old, and he was there when the fire happened. And you remember with his little brother, he like ran out of the place, and his mom and dad were there. And what's really interesting about the whole thing is this book. When he saw this book and he went through it, there's a page in this book that shows the schoolhouse with like little kids, at school at their school desk, and he's like, that's me. And it was him in the picture, and he knew the names of every single other person, boy and girl, even the teachers in the picture from mid-50s. Really, really kind of interesting. And one thing I found out that I did not know, I'm constantly learning new information about this, because it's a long time ago. I mean, a lot of it's like hearsay and just like putting together history. And anyways, I'd always wondered what happened to the suspension bridge. Okay, obviously it's not here anymore. I had heard that, because the hotel was gone, that was no longer being maintained, so it was condemned, and they tore it down. But he said that in the 50s, the bridge wasn't there. He said in the late 40s, there was an ice jam that came down from Gold Creek and wiped out the suspension bridge, which does not surprise me at all. And I would have thought that suspension bridge would have struggled with those ice flows anyways, because